With COVID-19 not going away anytime soon, the question arises, what about our millennials and how are they being affected by COVID-19 and their 401ks? Find out the answer coming up next. I'm Eric Mitchell, and this is To The Point. We have a great guest, reoccurring guest, our favorite Cynthia Frunzi is joining us today to discuss what is going on in the financial world. With COVID-19 affecting everyone, millennials are the generation most hardly hit. Their 401ks are taking it really hard with furloughs and unemployment at record times. So how do we do this? With two questions that we're posing today to Cynthia to answer is, what are our millennials to do with their 401ks? They're kind of out here figuring it out. And then what is the generation right after them, Gen Z, or my generation, where we're talking about college planning for our kids? How do we go there and how do we start? What is our economy? What is happening in our economy? It seems to be a gigantic dumpster fire to go along with the rest of 2020. To find out the answer to these questions and more, we bring to you our guest, and we get to the point with Cynthia Frunzi.
LifeFlip Media, the voice of the warrior class. Are you a veteran or patriotic business owner, author, musician, public speaker, or entrepreneur? Are you ready to take the next step towards success? Then look no further than LifeFlip Media, the voice of the warrior class. LifeFlip Media is the #1 veteran-owned PR firm in America. We use our mission-oriented approach to secure advertising and media exposure for your business, your brand, and your products. It's time to let LifeFlip Media put you on the cutting edge of success. LifeFlip Media, the voice of the warrior class.
Welcome to the show, Cynthia. How are you doing today?
I am fantastic. How are you doing, Eric?
Well, it is great to have you back here on our another Women Wednesday. We missed having you the past couple of weeks, so we're going to get this back on track, get you back here, because I know so many folks, they message us and they enjoy your segments as we cover a lot of topics that are going on right now that the news just doesn't seem to want us to know. So, it's an interesting little world that we live in when it comes to money management and how COVID-19 is really affecting people. So let's jump right into this. As we know, millennials make up a large portion of the workforce now. And COVID-19 has really changed so much with folks being furloughed, really concerned about their money and what they're doing with it, making some cuts to make sure that they can survive. But the big question that I've got and a lot of folks that are millennials I hear asking is, how can, with COVID-19, is it even going to be possible for this generation, these millennials who are going through these past 4 months with no end in sight, what should they do with their 401k? And are they going to really be able to retire? I know my generation has always been faced with, Social Security is going to be bad or not even there for you, but you can still retire. And I think technically, if I go off national stats, I'll be able to retire in my early 60s. Now, that's not my plan. 55 is my drop dead time. That's when I'm retiring no matter what. 50 is actually the goal. I have 5 more years of this. My goal is to retire by the age of 50, just because I want to. That's just my wife and I want to travel the world, and we've worked really hard, and that's our goal. But for these millennials, what do you see for them as their future with COVID-19 kind of making a mess of everything?
I love this question because they are in for a rude awakening if they don't plan properly. And my son is a millennial. And the thing is that every lesson that we've ever learned, and unfortunately they've probably heard as well, does not apply to today's world, because you're not that much younger than me. You're 5 years younger than me. We were always taught go to college, get a good job, stay with a company, it'll take care of you, which we know does not work. There's no such thing as a pension anymore. It's barely there. Less than 5% of companies have it. Social Security, as you said, is probably not going to be there. But now for these millennials, the new statistics say each person will have 5 careers, not 5 jobs, 5 careers. And with that, it's on them to start saving. So then we still hear, use your 401k, use your 401k, use your 401k. And the problem is, and I talk about this daily, if you're putting a little bit of money in an account and most people are not maxing it out and they think it's going to be great because they're going to defer their taxes and they get a tax write-off today, the problem is that the little tiny tax write-off does not affect most people, and all you're doing is growing this little ball into a giant ball of savings, God willing, that's 100% taxable in the future. And that's where the problem is, because we have a stimulus package, we have an unemployment package, we have a potential for another check coming out, we have the repercussions of 2008 and all those taxes, we have the deferment of taxes right now where they're a little bit lower, but they're gonna have to go up because the debt's getting bigger, which means the millennials are on the hook more than ever before to pay back those taxes. It's going to be a generational snowball, and they're the ones that are probably going to get hit in the face fastest and hardest because they need to figure out how to pay back this package of all these debacles going on. And we have to keep in mind, millennials have lived through 2008. Yeah, a lot of them were in high school, but they know about it. Now they have this pandemic. There will be another, which means another stimulus, another Band-Aid, another tax issue, and more problems when they get to retirement. So they got to figure out real quick how to start saving tax-free. Don't worry about your little tax break now. Grow your money so that all of it is tax-free when you get into retirement. And this is one of the things that we talk about daily with my clients, with my team, with everybody I speak with, because no one knows what tax diversification is. They all know taxes every year where you're going to get a refund and all of that, which is a terrible business decision or financial decision to get a refund. Then they know tax defer, so I can get a tax break, but they don't pay attention to later. And I always use the example, and I might have said this on your show before, when we were little, and you have little ones, if your 16-year-old comes home, and I know she's a genius, so she wouldn't put it off, but if she had a huge project for like winter break or spring break, you would never as a parent say to her, don't worry about it now, wait till the last minute, do it later, enjoy yourself, you can crash and do it later. Every parent's advice, everybody's ever heard, if you're a kid and you have a parent, do it now and don't wait till later. Well, I am telling you that if you don't do it now and you wait till later for your taxes and retirement, you're going to work till you're dead. You're just going to work till you're dead.
That's funny that we're talking about this, as today is July 15th and today is the new tax day thanks to COVID-19. So it's funny how many people treated today like they treated their school test and waited till the night before to study. And this is, I mean, how many people are going to do another extension on their taxes since April? Yeah. I'm not going to raise my hand, but I'm in that group.
Me too. But there's a difference because we pay taxes as business owners, so we don't want to give it anytime soon.
No, it's like I'm not hooking you up too soon there, federal government. You take enough out of my pocket. You know, it's funny that you talk about a couple things that are coming up here at the end of July, and we kind of grazed over it real fast, but let's jump into it before we move to the next thing. I don't know what they're calling it. I'm not on it, but I know one of my children is on it because she works in retail. But this extra cash bonus, I don't know what they're calling it, this stimulus bonus that's on everybody's unemployment check. Over 40 million Americans are unemployed. It's an absolute, travesty that this is going on. But we're at this fine line where, yes, I understand some of these folks need to have it back. I mean, it's hard. I know a lot of retail employees depend on it, but I also know the flip coin to this extra money is there's a lot of people who aren't going back to work. They're purposely sitting on the sidelines, milking this as basically like a welfare check instead of using it to go back to work. I mean, what's your advice on this, or what's on your thoughts? I mean, part of me is like, can we go through and go, okay, how many of these people work in retail or an industry that absolutely has been devastated by COVID-19? And how many of these people are just like, I'm not going to try to look for a job, and I worked in tech or something like that. No offense, tech people that are sitting on the sidelines. I know it's frustrating, but there are people, I've talked to a lot of business owners who are having problems getting their people back. Even in the restaurant industry here in Portland, it was a guest on our show, Kurt Hoffman was on our show, owns 25 restaurants in Portland. And he cannot open his restaurants till August because he can't literally get his staff back because they're all on unemployment and they're making more. I mean, as you know, the restaurant industry is not known for its high money. It's the tips that make everybody half their money that they make. So it's this interesting place. So what's your thoughts on this? I mean, how do we keep momentum? Obviously, we can't afford people to end up in any worse shape than what unemployment is, but we got to get people to stop depending on this money or they're never going to go back to work.
Well, I might make a few people upset by this one. You just asked me a touchy subject because, yeah, there's a lot of people who needed it, but now there's a lot of people taking advantage. And, when the government gives us a stimulus package, it is supposed to be to help. Let's just go to welfare. Welfare was never made to be a source of living. Neither was Social Security made to be a source of retirement. In fact, if anybody got a paper statement in their lifetime, which they don't do anymore, and it's really hard to find your Social Security statement, but I highly recommend you go on irs.gov and search for it. Because on the front page, it tells you the year it's going to run out, and that the first thing it says is this was not meant to be retirement. And your unemployment is not meant to be your income. Your unemployment is supposed to be there for a time where you are unemployed while searching for work. And they try and regulate it, but they don't, and they can't, and they need to figure out how. And if it were up to me, and again, I'm going to make a lot of people upset by this, I would end it in July. I would end the stimulus because you're going to force people back to work. The stock market's right now so excited. Unemployment rates lowered, 5,000 people got jobs back, and it's such a huge climb since this, since that. But they forgot the 50,000 mark of how many got unemployed. So now we're only at 45,000 left, as you said. And it's insanity. And now we want to sit home. I met somebody, he drives for Uber. He's retired. He was a state worker here in Jersey. He drives for Uber and Lyft, and he makes money. He says there's a shortage of drivers now because they can make more money on unemployment than they could when they were driving. Yep. So, again, and this is the problem I see with our country. We're always willing to throw a Band-Aid on it instead of fix it. The lack of education is so alarming because it feels real good right now. It's summer here in the Jersey Shore, and I don't have to go back to work until the summer's almost over. I can suck it up and enjoy summer in June and July, and then I'll go back to work. No, you're an adult who's responsible. People forget that working is a privilege. And I'm going to say it this way. My girlfriend turned 50 and ended up with cancer that she's been now battling for the past year and a half. And it keeps moving and getting worse and worse and worse. And the only thing she says to me is, I wish I could go back to work. I can't believe I took for granted the privilege of working for so long, knowing now that I can't. Yeah. People don't understand. There's people coming from other countries to come to this land of opportunity because of the opportunity to work. And we as Americans need to stop taking it for granted, go back to work. Now, if you really need unemployment because you're unemployed, not on furlough, and you can't go back, absolutely, you need it. Mm-hmm. But if you have an opportunity and you're denying going back to work for a $600 paycheck, one, your dreams are way too small. Go have a purpose. And number two, start being grateful that we do have the opportunity and free will to work in this country. So Amen. I might piss a lot of people off, Eric, but you asked me a touchy subject.
No. I mean, and that's how, and that's why this question is so key and important. And I keep telling people this, and I 100% agree with you. They need to cut it off. They need to make the exception. Furloughed people, go back to work or go look for a job. Folks that were directly affected, retail and restaurant industry. I'm sorry. You guys are in a bad spot. You guys deserve your unemployment. You have no choice. Your jobs were taken because a lot of states are making in-room dining. I mean, we've blown that privilege. I mean, if you work in the state of Florida, I'm just sorry. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, Florida by yourself, I hope eventually you guys will quit being a circus. I don't know how that they took the title as the epicenter of the world, but they're very proud of it apparently because, I mean, I thought they were happy just having Disney, damn it. And they're like, no. We don't have beautiful beaches. We don't have just beautiful beaches and really good weather and a place for all the snowbirds to go hide out for 6 months out of the year. No. No. We want to lead with coronavirus too. So hold our beer. I don't know what's going on there. But I think it's important that, I mean, this is a key question for so many people is what do we do? Because eventually this money's going to have to come back from somewhere. There's not a money tree out back. We have amazing trade partners, but this isn't what we're talking about today. So I don't want to get off on a political tangent, which is easy for me to do. But let's move on to what's important, something that we talk about here in the Mitchell household. I know a lot of households around America are talking about this, especially with teenagers in your house. And it's not just going back to school. That's a whole nother topic that will just end up making me really frustrated. But talk about college planning and saving for college, what that looks like, what families can do. And no, I'm not just asking this question selfishly for myself, who sat here looking at my almost 16-year-old who has dreams of really expensive colleges that make me go, yeah, NYU's a beautiful campus, and yes, your nephew, your uncle went there, and we're proud of him. And oh, San Diego State, oh, yep, your aunt went there, yep. Oh, Rollins College. Oh, can you name some more expensive schools? So I just feel like I won't retire at 50. But when it comes to college planning, where are we at with that? 2020, I know, is a wreck. But how do we stay on point? What's some advice? And I am asking this question as somebody from even myself, but I know I'm not the only one out here in this boat. What is your advice to folks out there when it comes to planning for college in the light and the environment that we're in here in 2020?
So I can talk about this from a personal standpoint. As a single mom, my son dreamed of going to Notre Dame, and I don't even know where it came from, but it was probably since he was 6 years old. And I'm like, all right, if you get in, I'll figure it out because I got one kid and one shot and I'll do it. And we even went to Notre Dame. We went on campus. He spoke with a counselor. What do I got to do? How am I going to do it? And ultimately, he had a lot of friends and decided to hang out. He did well in high school, obviously, but not Notre Dame well. He got accepted to a few schools, but didn't want to go. So we went to community college, and ultimately he's in the military, so I got off easy, and now he's actually finishing his degree through the whatever that thing is called.
Montgomery GI Bill. I'll jump in on that.
Yeah,
I love it. I love it. That's the greatest thing. People ask me about my college debt. I say, I don't have any.
Yeah.
My wife, she slaps me for that, by the way.
Yeah, we should do something in this country. Maybe there'll be a bigger reality check like they do in Israel where everybody's mandated to go into the military for a short period of time. But, however, there's a couple things when it comes to college. I met with counselors before I went into finance, and he said to me, one, you can't pick your college like you pick your labels for your shoes. Just because it's NYU doesn't mean you have to go there if you can get the same exact degree with the same credibility that's going to work at half the price. Yeah. Don't pick your college based on the label. Number one, there was somebody who went to Princeton to be a teacher. Like, you don't need to go to Princeton to get a teaching degree. You can go to a million other colleges, get an amazing degree, and be a teacher. If you do need the specialty college, then absolutely. Like, my niece went to Lafayette. She was in pre-law, now she's in law school. So depending on your career, but if you're a liberal arts major or you don't know what you want to do or you're not going to be in a specialty, don't worry about the undergrad. The undergrad is a stepping stone if you need graduate school to get you to that's where you're going to matter. That's number one. Number two, everybody will talk about 529s. 529, save for college, it's free. Save for college, grow tax-free, tax-free, tax-free. What most people don't understand is most financial products that come on the market are designed, and again, this is a very strong opinion because I've been here, but they're designed for high net worth people to get huge tax breaks, and then they're sold to middle class who don't know what they're doing. And again, this is just my perception, but a 529 is what a lot of people hear of that parents do for their kids. The problem is if you have a teacher and a cop, they're making a decent income, but they're not making enough to pay for all of college. And there's many ways that if you have money in your child's name or they're earning income, and let's say you do get your daughter does get a scholarship to NYU. Well, any monies that's in her name will be first taken before scholarship kicks in. Now, if you can afford that, awesome. You can let them do that so it's the next person gets the grant. Maybe they have more to give to the next person. But there's a lot of people that don't understand. There's a lot of money out there that they can get and they deserve to get because they're never going to pay for college. I am dealing with client after client after client after friend after family. $200,000 in college debt, $90,000 in college debt, $150,000 in college debt. Millennials are going to be paying the college debt. Time Magazine put it out a while ago. They're going to be paying their college debt to the age of 54. That is insanity. We need to start taking advantage of the programs that are out there, stashing the money that we can in these tax-free vehicles that are not only for college, because if you do a 529 and your kid doesn't go to college, like mine went to military and he graduated high school in 2010 and we had a crash of 2008 and we were not fully recovered, but I didn't know better at the time. But what happened is I took all the money when it came back to start, threw it in a whole nother tax-free vehicle. He was able to get some sort of financial aid just for community college 2 semesters, and he didn't have any debt. Yeah, and I get it was college community, but he didn't choose to go and finish. So there's ways to take the money, even if it's in a 529, to stash it before in vehicles that don't need to be looked at for financial aid reasons. And people making good money can qualify for financial aid. It's not just about that. So there's grant programs, there's this program, there's that program, and we got to learn and do our homework. I do a whole review on this for clients. I'm like, all right, take this money out, throw it over here. Now apply for financial aid because you're going to qualify, and this money will not be used against you. So we have to learn to legally hide the money. And on YouTube, so everybody can see it, but it's legal.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, you need to do that. I mean, and it's important to save. And you're right when it comes to, yes, everybody wants to go to really nice schools. Everybody loves the big names on the degrees. And I always laugh when I hear that because I thought the same way. Obviously, the military paid for mine. Shout out to the government for having the Montgomery GI Bill, which is truly great for so many of us to use. It provides us an opportunity to go to school. And a lot of us go to school on aircraft carriers, and we really don't care. We don't even pay attention to what the university was. I've never been one of those people that's like, hey, I want to graduate from Harvard. Yeah, Harvard to me is a long shot. They don't let idiots like me anywhere near that campus. I'm contagious for like, get away from here. We don't serve your kind around here. But I think it's key for folks to understand that your state schools are really good. Community colleges are really good. I know here on the West Coast, within, just a slingshot of us, if the state of Oregon can't do it, the state of Washington has amazing universities where my daughter's like, I'm like, NYU is great. And yes, your uncle went there and it was a different time, different place. I mean, he turns 30 at the end of this month, so that ages the hell out of me. But, it's my baby brother. I mean, I get what he wants to do. It's like following in your footsteps. You want to kind of chase where everybody else went. So it's interesting. I do hope she goes to San Diego State just for pure weather-wise. That way I'll have an excuse to go visit her all the time. NYU is beautiful. I love their campus. It's second to, I mean, it's my favorite place. We walk through it every time we're there. Washington Square is my absolute, I just love hanging out there. The culture, it's kind of like the melting pot, and it's funny the way people don't know what it's like, but year round there's something going on in Washington Square. I mean, it's great. But when it comes to saving money, and we're in the summertime, so this isn't a time people think that people are traveling, spending money, people are going on vacations now. You're seeing more and more places open outside of our country because for some way third world countries and tourist destinations actually have taken care of themselves, the masks and all of this stuff. So people are spending money. Do you advise against or for folks to go out and spend money on these vacations and lavish items, or should we be preparing for another repeat of 2008?
Listen, that's a twofold question because, you can't buy things with money you don't have to impress people you don't like. So if you have a budget and you can afford it and it doesn't put you in debt and you still have an emergency fund of 3 to 6 months and you're not pulling out of your retirement and you're not waiting on a stimulus package, go travel. I was just away this whole weekend. I went away for 4th of July. We drove up to the Finger Lakes and it was amazing. And I can afford it. I'm not pulling it out of, I'm not going into debt for it. I'm not, pulling it out of my retirement. I'm not anything.
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely. You know what? We've been locked up for so darn long that if you can get away without needing the government stimulus package when you get home, or waiting on furlough for more money, or you have 3, you know what I mean? Like if you financially can, go. I'm highly recommend go. We need to get the heck out of Dodge for a little while if you can. Yeah. And it doesn't have to be crazy. I mean, we just drove 5 hours away and had an amazing time.
I think that's what people need to realize, that they can. And you hit the nail on the head, and that's basically what I wanted to hear from an expert is, if you have the money, it's not affecting anything, you're not having to pull out of anything, go. Enjoy life if you can do it. And yes, it's unfair, and you can have, some people will say this, I don't care if I'm popular or unpopular, it doesn't, the popularity contest stopped when I graduated from high school. So if you like that I'm successful or hate me that I'm successful, it didn't happen overnight. Cynthia and I, we've talked about this probably every episode. Neither one of us are overnight successes. Anybody who's been on our show, they'll tell you that. And we've had some of the biggest names out there that, yes, they're sitting in a great place now. They didn't start in a great place. You have to work to get it, and you get to the point where you can do that. At the same time, both of us help other people. I mean, every guest I have on, if you're doing well, usually you somehow give back, whether it's you have a nonprofit that you help out, or provide services. Some of our guests give away some of their information for free, we had a guest on just last week who provides a counseling session so people can dip their feet in the pool when it's like, do I want to start my own business? Which I love that. I'll ask you that before you go. So folks that are starting their own businesses, there's a lot of folks that are out there going, come to me and I'll help you set everything up. But I always think they forget about the money side of the house when they're setting everything up. Everybody sets up the marketing and the sales and the websites and the fancy graphics and the branding coaches and all those amazing folks. But people forget about to set the small stuff up in the backside of the business, like money and where it goes and how to save. And you said an interesting thing that made me go here with this. You said to make sure you've got 3 to 6 months of money saved. Can you elaborate on that? Because I think that's something a lot of business owners don't think about when they're growing their business. In their first couple of years, they look at their savings and there's like $50, which we always are taking a chunk of what comes in as closed. Part of it goes to taxes, the other goes and buries it in savings. Like it doesn't even, basically eyes covered. We don't know. It's like, I don't want to know it's there. I just know it's there. It's like automatic. So tell folks why they need to have this, and what is a good system? I think that's more the question. What is a good way to start saving as you become a business owner? So many people are launching businesses. What's a good way to save?
So prior to starting your business, you need to make a household budget. As if you're coming from a job, you're living on your paycheck. And if it's an extravagant life, that's great. If it's a simple life, that's great. It doesn't matter. What are your absolute necessities? And you need to write it all down. And when I work with clients, we do a complete intake of every dollar in, every dollar out. And some clients have more stuff going in than out, but you have to know every dollar coming in. And you said, they offer free sessions. I'll offer anybody who contacts me a free analysis to see where they're at. I have no problem doing that. I'd love to. But do an entire breakdown of every dollar going out. I'm talking grocery store. I'm talking if you get your nails done. I'm talking if the kids have sports. I'm talking every dollar. What I tell people is much like if you want to lose weight, because most people don't know where the money goes. But if you want to lose weight, they tell you at Weight Watchers, write down everything. Noom, Fit, whatever coach, that coach, write everything you wrote down. If you lick the peanut butter spoon, write it down. So I tell my clients for the next week, I'd prefer month, but give me a week. If you put a quarter in a gumball machine, I need you to write it down. Because we need to know where the money's going. And if you do that for an entire month before you start this business, you'll know what your monthly expenses are. And then you could do an analysis to figure out, all right, well, I don't need to do this month. For the next 6 months, I can cut this out, this out, this out. Are you willing to sacrifice, or do you need to maintain this? And once you know that, times it by minimum of 3, preferably 6, and make sure that's in the bank, not in your 401k, not in your IRA. If it's in stocks, great, put it in your money market because you need to make sure it doesn't lose, God forbid. It needs to be fully liquid, no risk in an account, because when you start a business, you're going to take a bit of a hit. There's going to be a minor setback, especially if you're out of work doing it. If you could do it part-time, keep going. But if you got to be out of work to do it, you're going to need to make sure those bills are paid. And if there comes a time while you're starting not making money that those bills aren't paid, you're going to be in trouble. I'm working with a woman right now. She lent her son a couple $100,000. And the business didn't work out. And now the debt's there. And now it's got to come from somewhere. So we're working on a plan to get rid of it. But businesses cost money. They don't have to cost hundreds of thousands, but they're going to take a time investment, which you're never going to get back, and some sort of capital investment, even if it's little. If you do a network marketing, that's still a business. There's still an investment. You better make sure you can keep maintaining your bills.
I love that. That's solid advice. Hopefully everybody was taking those notes down, because I was. That's what I was over here doing. If you hear typing, that's me. So it's true. But I want to thank you, Cynthia, for joining us today. You are our resident expert when it comes to wealth management, and we love it because we learn a lot. I know I do. If anybody doesn't, I know a lot of our followers, they listen and take a lot of notes. Comments are always amazing by the folks because they're paying attention, they have questions, and as always, just go down. You see the links that we've dropped in here for you, so you can always find them. If you're watching this on a replay or on YouTube, just know you can always connect with Cynthia. Just simply scroll down into the notes of the show. We have her social media and our website, so if you have questions or you need help, Cynthia's the person that you should call. She's here every other Women Wednesday, so every other Wednesday she's on here as our expert, so feel free to reach out to her with any of your questions. Ask her to help, sign up with her, and she will help you. Just amazing, always amazing knowledge from you, Cynthia. So I want to thank you so much for joining us today, and we'll see you in 2 short weeks. So you stay safe, enjoy your summer, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you so much.
No problem. Thank you for watching this episode of To The Point. As always, I'm your host, Eric Mitchell, and we thank you so much for tuning in. Remember, if you know someone that we should be interviewing on our show, or you'd like to be a guest on our show, feel free to email us at hello@tothepointtv.com. We'd love to have you as a guest on our show. Please go ahead and feel free to follow us on Twitter at To The Point TV. We'd love to see you on Twitter. Also, make sure to follow us on Instagram. We're huge fans of Instagram here at To The Point. So give us a follow at To The Point and a like and a share so you can see the guests that are coming up on IG. And that is at tothepointtv. It's not .com. It's just at To The Point TV. It's so confusing with all these names taken. And also, if you're watching this on YouTube, you know what we're going to get ready to go. But before you do that, if you're a fan of Facebook and you spend a lot of time on there, go give our Facebook page a like and a follow and share it with your friends. And keep in mind, if you can't get to your YouTube, you can always watch us live at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern weekdays. We appreciate to see you there. And as always, my favorite peeps, you're here on the YouTube, and we love you here on YouTube. So make sure that you drop in and you can see every episode and never miss an episode. Right? Because if you smash that subscribe button, give it a like, and flick that bell, you flick that bell, you get notified before everyone else when we drop the latest episode or subscription. And as a reminder, all of our segments and shows go live weekdays at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern. So you will be the first to catch them, and you don't want to miss them. Go check out our library. They are broken down by hashtags, so you will never miss an episode. On behalf of our entire team here at To The Point, we want to thank you for tuning in, because if it wasn't for viewers like you, we wouldn't have a show. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. As always, I'm your host, Eric Mitchell. Be safe, be strong, be smart, and God bless America.
Let's get to the point.